This when I rock my Givenchy dress. I'm so possessive, so I rock his red necklaces. My daddy Alabama, mama Louisiana. You mix that Negro with that Creole, make a Texas Bama. My baby hair with baby hair and afro. I like my Negro nose with Jackson 5 but they never take the country out of me. Got hot sauce in my bag.
Hey,
good
hey.
Drake also has
Drop
hot sauce in his bag.
Drake has got to have some hot sauce in his bag these days. I'm just saying.
He's the hot sauce in his bag, Swag.
Okay? They're trying to get some of his bling bling. Happy Saturday, ladies.
Happy Saturday, baby.
It is another week. It is another week where we try to make sense of the foolishness. And we actually have one story that is not foolishness that I think everybody's going to enjoy, especially Rob, because the album dropped and Rob has been listening to it because it's for the culture. So that story is not foolishness, but the other four, yeah, pure foolishness. But before we go into the foolishness, thank you to Radio Region and iHeartRadio for hosting us every week. And we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves in alphabetical order.
Hello, everyone. My name is Garcia. Welcome to Not Your Typical Girl Talk. Telly, what's going on? Hey, what's good in the hood? It's Telly Tell. I'm so happy to be here to be a part of the Not Your Typical Girl Talk crew. Sheba!
I am Toshiba. They call me Sheba. I'm the final female member, and my partner in crime will introduce himself.
Robbie 3 times. Happy Saturday. What's going on, y'all?
So, American culture is an interesting culture. And it is a culture that a lot of people try to get into. Don't really know what American culture is, but a lot of it is based on music. That's how people would define the culture. Now, if you're someone from outside of the culture who is brought into the culture, do you think it's important to understand some of the cultural icons?
Yes. 100%. If you are an outsider, the first thing you should do is memorize, study everything you can on that culture that you want to migrate upon. Hit them books, child. Study, listen, watch, learn, connect. Connect all the dots to who's connected to who. It's important. So, otherwise, you're in the wrong, you won't look like a fool.
Thank you. So for me, it's like if someone says, oh my God, I love Jamaican culture, and I turn around and say, what's ackee and saltfish? And they go, huh? I'd be like, okay, so you don't actually like Jamaican culture, because if you like Jamaican culture and you want to be a part of Jamaican culture, you would understand that ackee and saltfish is a national dish. Or if I say something like, who's Bob Marley? And I play a Bob Marley song and they don't recognize it, I'm going to call BS. So this week, someone who says that they love American culture was hit with what I would consider a song from a cultural icon in American culture. And I will show you what happened. But before, so you know what it is, Jack Harlow, Ray J and Brandy are siblings? Question mark, question mark. I had no idea. Well, this is how he found out that Ray J and Brandy are siblings.
Take a minute.
I know what you're doing. People say that I'm your
All right, how about listening? You have a TV show. You started a TV show.
Tell me another thing. Her brother is the reason why a lot of people are famous. Her brother had an amazing sex tape.
Very famous.
Who's Ray J's sister?
Oh my God!
Who's Ray J's sister? Yo, it's bad. He's serious. He's serious. He was 24. I know that we got Who is it? Brandy and Ray J are siblings?
Yes!
Wow. Nobody's ever told me that in my life. You just found that out today? Nobody's ever told me that. Wow. Love you, Jack. Yo, that is amazing. Yo.
I don't think that's amazing. I don't think it's amazing that he did not know that Randy and Ray J are siblings. I think they've appeared in each other's videos several times. He was also in Moesha because, like, Brandy likes to keep her brother employed. They also had the family business show. I can list things, and if you were to Google Brandy or Ray J, I guarantee you there are pictures of them together. So Jack Harlow would have been in the presence of both of them because he's part of the culture, yet not know that they're cultural. Like, you don't, first of all, you don't even know that song, bro. Anyway, I'm done.
Oh.
So, and I do want to mention as well that when they started playing the song, he sat there for, this clip is actually quite long, and he sat there for the longest time. And after the song has been playing, he says, they're like, who is this? And he's like, Aaliyah? So, I was like,
Aaliyah's voice and Brandy's voice are two complete nights
So
and
different.
they're totally different. Both of them are amazing powerhouse voices,
but
they
different.
sound completely different. Where did Brandy sound like Aaliyah to him?
And here's the best part. People are trying to defend the fact that he is 24.
No.
Aaliyah died when he was 4. I was pregnant when Aaliyah died. Aaliyah died, and I'm going to tell you the date, August 25th, 2001. I don't even need to Google it. Why do I know? August 25th is my best friend's birthday, and I was pregnant.
Right.
Shireen was born September 15th. So it is not an excuse that you are 24 because you remembered Aaliyah, and she died
Who hasn't had a hit
4.
song.
Brandy's still alive.
And still creating. She is in numerous TV shows. She's still putting out music. She's actually, her career right now is exactly where you would want your career to be after having a legacy career like hers. She's very relevant still to this day. And Ray J, hello, his name is in the news right now for other reasons that have nothing to even do with Brandy. Like, they both are very iconic in their own way. And like you said, when you Google Brandy, go to images. We tested it.
We tested it.
Brandy in
We
Google,
literally will do
and
it
we
right
tested
now.
it. We went to images. Every other image is her and Ray J. That's
Every
how
image.
close they are as siblings. They're like me and you, right? It's like wherever he is, know that Brandy is about 5 feet away.
That's
what
it.
bothers me is that Jack Harlow has been to the MTV Awards enough times. He's been to all these award shows, all these music award shows, Billboard. He's probably been to the BET Awards. And
because he thinks he's black.
Brandy and Ray J are there. And he never thought, why are these two always together? He never thought.
But you know what that's like? It's like saying that you didn't know Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson were siblings. Or you didn't know that Solange and Beyonce were siblings. Does he know that Diana Ross is the mom
Of Tracy Ellis
Ross?
He probably doesn't. And again, if he wasn't in the music industry, I wouldn't even care. But the idea that he is in the music industry and we as a whole, the black community,
as usual, we're always taking everybody
taking him in. Yet we get questioned when we go to the Country Music Awards. And and I'm sure when you talk to black artists that are in the country music, they can reference all of the white country singers that they're inspired by.
And if they club, you trust and believe the country community is going to get together and slay them.
Right.
So when black people get into other territories, we practice our shit.
We have to be out
If you're going to come into the black culture, at least respect it enough to know who's who and who's connected. That's all.
Robert,
at least respect the culture like that.
Robert, as a resident American, what say ye?
I'll talk about it probably a bit more in my segment. Just in a summary, though, I would say this is where it gets interesting for us as a community because we do not understand or acknowledge or realize or hold people accountable for the fact that it's very different hanging out around black people versus growing up around black people. And Jack obviously hung out with black people. He's a rapper, but he obviously did not grow up around black people. His parents obviously did not listen to R&B and jazz and so again, I don't, like you said, but we get questioned at the Country Music Awards, definitely. Like, you know, Eminem grew up around black people, man. Like, that's kind of why he would never fail on a question. Like,
Ever.
Exactly. And I'm thinking of white rappers that I know, and the only two that I per se really know is like.
Yes, he is. He grew up around black people. He would not. He knows the difference between Aaliyah and Brandy and Monica. Like, those are fundamental things growing up around black people. They're like basics. These were middle school arguments and discussions.
Thank
and
you.
stuff like that. But when you're really not of that community, you didn't get that.
Thank you.
So, you know, shouts to Jack Harlow, but you know, it kind of exposes the fact that once again is we love, like, anybody can just say they're a rapper and people stamp off and sign off on it. And like, I don't know why we look at rappers like they really are role models. Like, me personally, I like them for their music. That's about it. There's not a single rapper in the world other than maybe Jay-Z or Nas that I would actually like emulate anything about my life about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All of that.
Exactly. There's
all of that.
I'm beginning to wonder now if Jack Harlow is actually manufactured.
Well, remember now, they're putting him in the remake of White Man Can't Jump.
I'm not okay with that.
He was the first one to get the role. Jack Harlow.
So he's playing the Woody Harrelson character, right?
Yes. He's going to be Woody Harrelson's character from White Man Can't Jump.
Can he act?
Does he know what basketball is?
Because Woody Harrelson can.
Does he know who Woody Harrelson?
Yeah, does he know Woody Harrelson? Does he know Wesley Snipes?
You know, Woody slayed that role too, man.
He did slay that role.
He did.
And I just think they should have left that movie alone. There's some movies you just need to leave alone. You don't need a remake, although they are putting Tiana Taylor in it, who I love. By the way, Tiana Taylor is going on tour. Y'all know Tiana Taylor. I don't know. I know who she's going to be, but I don't care. I'm going to watch her because I love Tiana Taylor. Right? But Tiana Taylor.
You grew up in New York.
Rosie Perez.
It was it, man.
And they need to leave it alone. So sorry, Jack Harlow. I mean, you might be part of the American culture, but the rest of us black folks, butterfly a few. Moving on. Listen, somebody who needs to get a bun fire. We've spoken about her, but the news that came out this week is astounding because, again, American culture. Let me just read this. Dr. Lafredo, who treated Megan Thee Stallion, confirmed her foot was wounded due to her stepping on glass. Should I just stop for a second, ladies?
Wow. Wow. What? Oh, wait, I thought she said that Tory Lanez shot her in the foot, and then she said, then they couldn't find his fingerprints on the gun. She swore that he was him. Then,
you know what?
She got to fight with her friend.
Here's my issue with this whole entire thing.
It's too much.
Why is this only coming out now? Like, why is the system so easily manipulated for all of us to be held under the assumption that there was a gun on the scene and that it was fired by someone and that it hit her foot? Now we're finding out that there wasn't even a gun shot.
But she said that he said, "Oh, dance, bitch, dance."
But that's my problem. Why is it so easy to manipulate? Why is it so easy to manipulate the system?
Wait, a black woman lied on a black man?
Shondo!
I thought that's like Bigfoot. Like, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know that existed. Like, and when you say why was the evidence so, this case has slowly been surely kind of been falling apart as more and more has come out about it. But again, who has been benefiting? A black woman. Who has been getting torn down? A black man. And I know I hate black women for saying that, so come for me, I guess. I don't know.
So this is a funny one. Someone said, Meg Thee Stallion went from I got shot in both feet to I got shot in one foot to I got shot at but stepped on glass. People are now getting to the point where, like, what's the real story? Now, they did say that they were casings, right? That they did find casings, but what is being reported, and listen, they're saying the trial is coming and we're going to find out more. But what is being reported is this doctor said she was treated not for a bullet wound in her foot, but for stepping on glass. It is also being said that apparently reports are saying that they can't find the MRI or whatever, you know, like the X-ray. None of that apparently is being found. Again, these are alleged.
They ain't even take none.
But based on this,
if you got shot in the foot, why would they not take an X-ray? But anyways, like, fellas, if your woman's misbehaving and jumps out the car, pull off on her ass. Leave her right there. You'll save yourself you might be vilified for doing it, but you will save yourself a lot of harassment.
Yes.
I bet you she won't do it again.
I hope all the men in the world have just heard that message and internalize it, embody it.
If Tory would have just drove off on her ass, he would have been fine.
Fine.
Exactly. This man literally lost, you know,
so many deals and just, you know, his life's been turned upside down.
Yeah, opportunities to work. He couldn't even travel.
No.
He couldn't even come home to Canada. Like,
he couldn't even talk about it. But meanwhile, Megan Thee Stallion's running around talking to anyone who will listen. That's crazy. And now all that for her to say that she got stuck on a piece of glass.
It didn't actually happen the way
she stepped on some glass.
And what's really bothersome about it is I still don't think she cares.
listen, we will find
Can I
out.
say something? Like,
Yes,
honestly.
please. Yes, please.
So yeah, Megan Thee Stallion, like, I was looking at a photo of her the other day. Like, and she was like laughing or smiling. She was smiling.
She smiles a lot.
But her smile is not.
It's not the cutest.
Cute. She smiles like I don't even know how to describe it. Like, if you're listening to this, come and find the replay in video format so you can see how I'm smiling. Because
you know what? They Google
like,
Megan Thee Stallion smiling. Y'all see.
Her smile is not cute. Like, she's not, you know, she's not pretty. Like, you know, like Cardi
have a
B,
pretty smile.
Nicki
Yeah,
Minaj,
they have pretty
face.
smile.
I'm not talking about body. I'm talking about face.
Yeah.
You know. Like,
I have a comment. So apparently, again, because we don't know September 14th is the trial date, but this is where discernment is necessary, people. When you hear information, you go, you look at both sides, but don't speak out of a side of your mouth when it just sounds stupid. So this one lady says, I won't even say her Instagram thing.
Oh,
you beeps are dumb. Megan Thee Stallion told y'all 2 years ago that she stepped on glass to protect Tory Lanez from the police. She had glass fragments and bullet fragments.
She was protecting him after she shot her?
What?
That makes no sense.
And apparently the doctor is protecting Tory Lanez too. So they're all in collusion to protect him, but charge him, but for 2 years, bash his name.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So
Sure. You know, sure.
Get away from Tory and stepped on glass.
After as he
And
held
black
on
women
to
can't
your
do
feet.
no wrong.
Telling you to dance, bitch, dance.
And I'm not trying to.
She danced on glass.
I think, you know, that word there, listen, that word there that Toshiba used, discernment, like, this is the time, people, really use your common sense and ask yourself, does this make sense?
But see, that's the problem. And we talk about this a lot. Common sense is not that common. I don't know where this person came trying to put things that people are protecting people. That makes no damn sense.
It makes no sense.
And before the idiot just thinks to herself, before even putting that on a public board, she types that out for all of us to make fun of her or him, whoever said it. It's like, what? How did you come to that conclusion? 2 years ago, do you know Megan personally? Were you there?
Listen, and you know what was even worse? I might even go to the comments because I was like, the American Education.
This is 2 days ago?
Yes, the doctor just came out, like the report came out, because again, things are coming out in public record because they're in pre-trial, and so things are coming out. Well, apparently, for those who are not American, there's HIPAA laws, which is, again, I think it's the Healthcare Information Privacy Protection Act, something like that, right? And it means that my private information from my doctor cannot be released in public, right? Without my permission. So people started coming, her defenders were like, Megan better sue that doctor because he is violating HIPAA. And people had to come and be like, girl, before you make comments about HIPAA, understand the trial is public. Therefore, the doctor would have been subpoenaed and he released that, like the police released that. This is now public information. No, Meg Thee Stallion does not sue the doctor. He did not violate HIPAA. People, please, when you try to sound smart, how about you just be smart? This wonderful device that I have in my hand is called a phone. And there is a loads of information that when you Google it, you can find things out. And you know what's really good? Research and reading. So you would want to make a comment about something, read up on it. It is not a violation of HIPAA laws for public information to be released to the public. Megan is in a public trial. Had she not stated that he had shot her in the foot, this would not be a public record.
Right.
Exactly. Because she's accused him of something that he may or may not have done. This is why it's public. That's
right.
it.
This is, I mean, this is why famous people usually try to avoid trial. Because as soon as you, in life, anybody, as soon as you invite yourself to sue someone or bring them to court, your life is now an open book. Whatever is relevant to the trial is now public record. I can go read about it. I can even write on my blog about it fully and openly, and it's okay because it's all public record. So I don't know what else. I mean, these people, like, you don't even need to read. Go watch Law and Order or something. You'll learn all about it.
But that's the sad part, Car. Like, I know that people say, America's education system has failed, but it does teach the basics, the necessities of life, reading and going out into the world. At least you know how to read. If you don't know how to read, like you said, there are resources where you can learn what you need to learn. Why don't people just look up things before they run their mouth or go somewhere and type things publicly, only to look like a fool?
Robert said something, and I wrote it out the other day, and it was true. Robert said the biggest danger to the Black community are those who are highly opinionated and poorly educated.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Too true.
Because the thing
killing,
is, and this is, it's kind of like people believe, I always say to people, I'm like, hey, before you rely on that source, think about it. That person is living in their mama's basement and they haven't had a job in like 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay.
And you're going to believe everything they write. When we have people that have gone and gotten bachelors of journalism and lawyers, and you don't want to believe them?
Not to. Like, if you're going to get, at least go to the right sources. Don't go to Bobby Boo's corner, who's living in his mama's or his papa or his ex-girlfriend's basement because he can't afford.
Bobby69news.com.
No, man, for real,
Don't rely on Bobby.
But blame Trump for that.
Rob says blame Trump for that.
Because the fake news. Prior to Trump, it was accepted, like, a fact's a fact. It was kind of generally, we had a consensus among us that fact. Trump would look at 2 + 2 = 4 and say, that's bullshit. And people would say, yeah.
That's right, Trump.
And then like that, so now we're in this space 4 or 5 years later where we don't even have a consensus on facts. So we're really in trouble, like, for real.
Yes.
Because 2 people can look at the same thing and see and have 2 completely opposite interpretations of it. And even when it comes to numbers, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
How do you look at numbers differently?
That's crazy. So we will see. I'm sure we will be talking about
Oh,
this
yeah.
file once it hits out in September. It's going to be quite juicy. It's just there's a lot of information,
Girl.
and I'm sorry the way it's looking like, Meg girl, you lied. That's how it's
Not
looking
looking
to
good
us.
for her.
However, we will wait until everything comes out and try, because unfortunately our boy Tory Lanez has not been able to tell his side. So, next. Now, we do a lot of talking here about the American education system. We are about to talk to you about the Canadian education system, particularly Toronto, where we're from. So recently it came out that our education minister, well, actually,
Girl. Girl. Listen.
What?
This
Stephen!
idiot.
I'm never get his last name right, so I'm going to say Lecce. Stephen
Yeah.
Lecce apologizes for fraternity slave auction event. Ontario NDP calls for Lecce to withdraw as PC election candidate for racist, dehumanizing actions. This gentleman right here has served as nearly 3 years as the Ontario Education Minister. For those of you who are not Canadian, province is like a state. So Ontario is like the state of New York. So it means he's responsible for the education and implementing rules about the education of everybody in the entire province. Toronto and the Greater Toronto here, it happens to be the largest school system in the province. And this man right here, if you are listening on the radio, please come back and watch this live show. This gentleman, who's actually in his 30s, has been responsible for the education system. Now, back in, I think it was 2000, I'm going to find the article, I want to say 2007,
2006.
Yeah, it was 2006.
He attended a university called Western, where as part of a fraternity, he thought that it was okay to have a slave auction. And it states, Stephen Lecce, one of Doug Ford's highest profile candidate ministers, is apologizing in the midst of the Ontario election campaign for his involvement in what his fraternity called a slave auction fundraiser 15 years ago. Lecce participated in a 2006 Sigma Chi event dubbed a slave auction while a member of the fraternity's chapter at Western University, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't make sense. A few hours ago after the story appeared, Lecce issued a 2-line statement apologizing unreservedly and not denying his participation. The event from 2006 was inappropriate and in no way reflects who I am as a person, which is why I unreservedly apologize, he says in a statement. I will continue to passionately advance the interests of all Ontarians, irrespective of faith, heritage, orientation, or race. I don't even want to read more because
Don't waste your breath anymore.
don't.
Don't waste your breath on it anymore. It's not worth it.
I wanna frame this for people that don't understand what's happening in Ontario, specifically in the GTA area with schools right now. There has been a surge in
Hate crime,
racism, hate crimes amongst the Black community, the Jewish community,
and the
Islamic
brown
community, Indigenous,
and the Asians too.
Asians. Like, the kids are going through a hard time in schools, coming down from teachers.
Yeah.
Not even their peers, but teachers are acting out in racism and showing their true colors.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's happening currently in Ontario right now. So when the boss of all of the teachers shows his racism, it's a problem. This is deeper than blackface. This is deeper than going, "What up, dog?" This is more than appropriation. This goes a lot deeper.
Yeah, he's playing an act of you stood on a platform.
I don't even
like our ancestors with handcuffs
and being sold.
Being
for what?
sold.
10 cents.
and all he can say is, I'm gonna do better. How? And it's not like he was sick, like a 16-year-old. He was a grown man
And
going to Western University.
Western is saying that they didn't even know this.
They knew damn well.
Western University is actually a school that represents a lot of the lawyers and doctors in Canada.
Yeah.
And I would love to see the complete list.
Yeah.
Of all the people that
who attended the slave
Yeah.
auction.
Because if my doctor or a lawyer was involved, I would like to know.
The public needs to know. Absolutely.
Here is something that I want to say, and being on the other side of the border, I find it interesting when people find out that I grew up in Canada, not so much Toronto, but they hear Canada and they go, oh my God, Canada is such a nice place with nice people. And I hear that you guys don't really experience racism. And this is my response to people. There is a difference between nice and polite. Canadians are polite.
Right.
It's very different. They're not necessarily nice, but they are polite. And I have experienced the most racism in my life in Canada, not the United States. The difference between the racism in Canada and the United States is the racism in the United States is in your face.
Exactly.
The racism in Canada is truly systemic, and they will do it behind your back. They will do it through how they promote you. They will do it through the education. They will do it, but it is there. There have been denials about how racist Canada is, even after finding dead bodies being buried from residential schools. There are people in our government, this man's boss in particular, who have said this is not a racist country, despite our prime minister coming out and saying it is a racist country and acknowledging the issues that we've had with race. The man who leads all of Ontario, again, Ontario is like the state of New York, has come out and said it's not racist, which is a problem because, again, Ontario is the most prominent province because that's where Toronto is. So it's disturbing as a parent. My daughter's no longer through that education system because she's now in university. But these are the things that anyways, I'm just gonna, Robert.
Yeah.
No.
Or do you want to just, because it's basically your
I will
3
say
minutes.
before we get into it, though, y'all have been trashing the American school system, supposedly. But there is one little thing that needs to be pointed out about American education is only the free education sucks. If you send your kids to school and pay for it, they will be educated very well and very differently. It's just the public educational system in America sucks because their only interest is in educating workers.
That's it.
That's true. And it's the same actually in Canada.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to go to a private school. We went to a Christian private school for 3
3
years.
or 4 years. Yeah.
And
completely different.
It's complete. You're so right, Rob.
Complete 180.
The
night
teachers,
and
the
day.
quality of teaching, what you're learning, the amount that you learn in
Even
a
the
day.
class sizes.
Yes.
Everything.
And the tolerance for foolishness, the zero tolerance. You get suspended for not wearing your socks properly. You're going to be held. If you want to discipline your kid,
send them to private school.
And you have a couple $1,000 extra that you can invest in your child.
That part. So, in our first segment of 3 minutes, Robbie, 3 times, he's about to go in and go.
So this has been an interesting show with the story so far of the people in the culture that don't seem to understand anything about the culture. Jack Harlow, I'm not incensed by it or anything like that. It just, he's ignorant about black culture. Not surprising. He's a white guy from Louisville who's got a knack for rapping, you know what I mean? I don't think he's really even trying to represent himself as much more. Then, I was more thinking we were going to be talking about him because of the little faux pas he had with the Kentucky Derby where he had his black security guards carry him across the grounds because he didn't want to get his shoes dirty. I was like, oh, I thought he was going to get slammed a little bit harder for that one. But ultimately, it's like, you know, judges, he's young. Like I said, he's 24. He's getting to learn what the ropes are and stuff like that. But I've been paying attention to ATL. They had Liam Neeson on there recently, and it was a crazy, crazy episode. But he had a mic drop quotation on it, and he said something to the effect of, here's the good and the bad thing about being a white person. You don't have to learn anything if you don't want to. And I really was like, wow, that makes so much sense, actually. Because white people do get to move through the world being ignorant and not being impacted by that ignorance of whatever they want to be ignorant of. White people don't have to learn about anybody else's culture, anyone else's religion, anyone else's upbringing, because they are the benchmark. So that's just kind of a little bit about that. And then Meg Thee Stallion. Whew. Like I said, I'm still clutching my pearls at the idea that a black woman lied on a black man, and I thought y'all told me that was impossible, and it never happened. So I really don't know what to do with myself. And in closing, I would just say, Meg, please be careful, because it feels like you're on the trajectory of doing a Lizzo collaboration, and I don't think you really want that for your career. And oh yeah, and those residential schools, like I watched a documentary on them residential schools, them Canadian residential schools, and I'm telling you, the founding fathers were like, man, I wish we thought of that. That was a really good idea of handling the Indians. And yeah, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible thing that they did to those people, but it was very, very low key. We're educating them.
And we're done. Karcia, talk to the people there.
Yes, welcome to Not Your Typical Girl Talk. Thank you to Radio Regent, syndicated through iHeartRadio, for providing us this platform. This show replays every Saturday, 7 p.m. on internet radio. Radio Regent, syndicated through iHeartRadio. So check out the replays there. Of course, we are live on IG every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So join us live. We'd love to have you. And we're going to move on with the rest of the show because we got plenty of show left.
We do, girl.
So
I'm so mad at Jack Harlow for now allowing his black bodyguard to go his dirty backside across the field. Thank you, Rob, for reminding me of that, because I didn't hear that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I knew those people didn't like that kid. I knew it. This thing about that child, I just do not like.
This is why Tweety dissed him on the red carpet, right?
I'm about him, I did not like.
Could you imagine?
That wasn't a great judgment call either. Yeah, I mean, his justification is, well, I pay them.
He's annoying.
Well, this actually feeds right into the second segment of this show, because us ladies, and Rob is about to find out, we recently found out that racism no longer exists. Because Black men and women are allowed to earn money, and therefore racism, especially in America, no longer exists. And this comes straight from the mouth of, well, Antonio Brown.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez.
Not him again.
Doesn't he want to have, he's still waiting on his date with Hitler? Doesn't he want to have dinner with him still?
So let's hear more of what he has to say, and I'll because you won't understand it, so I'll actually have to.
Man, stop putting
To read it.
in this man.
No, let's go. Okay.
We have to have self-pity on the mentality of being victimized. There's no racism. You can do what you want in America and the world. Only you can breathe for yourself, and like only you can see with your own eyes. So it's up to what you want. I made $100 million in like football contracts. What, nigga? Nobody gonna fuck with us. What, nigga? We do what we.
So
why did he make the show?
So let's just read a little bit more because you probably didn't understand what he was saying. So football player turned rapper Antonio Brown has again made headlines by stating that racism in America doesn't, oh no, he's rapping now, girl, doesn't exist. The former Tampa Bay Buccaneer star appeared on the We in Miami podcast where he shared his thoughts on a variety of things, including his views on the discrimination of Black and brown people in the country. He insinuated that people who claim to experience racism have a mentality of being victimized. There's no racism. You can do what you want in America and the world, he explained. He also seemingly backed his ideology that discrimination cannot exist since he has made upwards of $100 million in football earnings throughout his career.
Shut up. Like, here's the thing.
Again, lack of education. This is all because of a lack of education.
And I was
This is coming from the rhetoric of, of Kanye's situation. Slavery was a choice. It's that same school.
Here's the thing, like, and I think, and what, like, when people, and sometimes we need to clarify on this show even, the person can be amazing, okay, of any demographic. That you can find an amazing person in that demographic. When we talk in these generalities, Black people, white people, etc., we're talking about as a group, and we gotta stop pretending that certain groups of people don't move the way that they move. Like, let's be real about the situations. So to pretend, like, to act like just because certain individuals have achieved success, that the institutional systematic problems in this world don't exist, is ridiculous. But they'll keep trying out Antonio Brown. Look, Antonio Brown makes Kanye look like he got a clean bill of mental health.
This is someone wrote. Listen, someone wrote in the comments. The comments were killing me. They said this is where CTE meets cocaine.
I agree.
He ain't got no shirt on.
He has no shirt on.
But gloves.
And you can barely understand what he's saying.
Why do you have no gloves and no shirt?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
There is a deeper problem.
What are you planning on doing with your day when you don't have a shirt on but you have on gloves?
OJ?
OJ.
Yeah.
Juice.
And here's the thing too, like, what we have to realize too is that, listen, Black people, and I'm just gonna say it, if Black people want to entertain white people, you'll always have a job. You're always gonna get paid for entertaining, because white people love to see us run. White people love to see us sing and dance. Like, we are in our lane when we are doing those things. But try to be a scientist and see what NASA says when you walk through the door saying that you want to work for NASA.
Okay.
See what happens when you want to be the president of the United States.
Okay.
Or you want to be the vice president of the United States.
We want to be a Supreme Court judge.
Right. See how the rhetoric changes. They want you to go tap dance.
They want you to run. They want you to do their hair and
they want,
take care of their children.
Right.
But don't you dare step into their lane.
Right. So the idea is saying that, oh, you can go do anything. There's no such thing. No.
Well, he can try, though. He can go ahead and try to take a white man's job and see what he can see then what happens to him.
Girl, he made $100 million. Come in, it's all over. Did you guys not hear it? It's racism. I already said it on the show.
This is great. I missed that memo. And then I think it's right that, anyone that agrees with this man needs to have their head examined also.
Here's the thing. Antonio Brown, I challenge you. In that same outfit you got on that podcast, go yell at a white woman in front of a police.
That outfit is questionable.
There ain't no racism.
And with that, we are done.
See how fast you be in the George Floyd position.
That whole part.
So now someone who is for the culture. If you have not heard, Kendrick Lamar's new album came out.
Fire.
The video is
Fire.
And hoping we do not get shut down from flying Instagram. So I'm going to quickly go through this video. Now, they use the deep fake technology in this video, and it allowed some amazing things to happen. And I'm just going to scroll through some of this so you can understand.
I come from a generation of pain where murder is minor.
Okay, quickly. So this is Kendrick Lamar.
Don't cut us Instagram.
So next is, hold on. Oh, come on.
OJ?
Yeah, I think, oh God, there's a way for me to do it, but my TV's not cooperating. Next we have,
I said I do this for my culture to let you know.
okay. Next we have, it's still Kendrick Lamar. Next we have Kanye.
Kanye.
Next we have him changing into, goodness, there's more people. Oh, that's so Kanye. Now he's in
Changed into Jussie Smollett.
Jussie
Yeah.
Smollett. Now we have him changing into, I think Will Smith's
Will Smith is the last one, I think, for the...
Will Smith? No,
Yeah.
it's not it.
Oh.
You missed a couple of people. So this is Will Smith. He then changes into Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So this is back to him. He changes into Kobe, and I think the last person he changes into Nipsey Hussle.
Yes.
Reflecting on my life.
This is him as Kobe, and then the last one is him as Nipsey Hussle. You guys need to just go.
Yes. Everyone needs to go see this video.
I think everybody,
It's
even
amazing.
if you don't like
Trippy.
rap,
Just
even
watch
if you
it.
don't like music,
Watch
go
it.
watch this video. Kendrick Lamar, as we all know, he's like literally sometimes I call him Uncle Kenny.
Yep.
Like, because he is like probably one of my favorite, I guess you could say, modern whatever rappers right now, only because he's a lot deeper than most. Like, I know you love J. Cole. Like, we love the rappers out here that aren't about.
He's more Marvin Gaye than that's why they're using that sample. Like, no rappers can get Marvin Gaye samples cleared. His family won't allow it.
Right.
And is more Marvin than most of these rappers. That's why he took so long in between this album. Again, I think he was just sitting back watching. That song isn't even on the album, but he covers a ridiculously broad number of subject matters, and his songs, actually almost every single one of them, has like a theme and a point and a purpose. It's just a very, very different album, especially in like 2022, where it's easy. There's no radio singles really on it. There's no like club songs really on it. There are a lot of TikTok quotes. I think that album's gonna be all over TikTok though.
So I'm gonna read some of the things just for people who want to know what he says, because we were not able to play the whole thing. So when he becomes O.J. Simpson, he says, "I said I do this for my culture to let y'all know what that end look like in a bulletproof Rover."
Wow.
When he is ye, he says, "Friends bipolar, grab you by your pockets, no option if you froze up, always play the offensive. Ninja gonna work and selling work, late for work, working late, praying for work, but he on paperwork." When he switches into Jussie Smollett, he says, "The streets got me effed up. Y'all can't miss me. I want to represent for us. New revolution was up and moving. I'm in Argentina wiping my tears, full of confusion." I'm just going to go through a few, not the whole thing. When he goes back to himself, he says, "But that's the culture. Crack a bottle. Hard to deal with the pain when you're sober. By tomorrow, we forget the remains. We start over. That's the problem." When he turns into Will Smith, he says, "In the land where hurt people more, F calling it culture." He turns into Kobe. He says, "Euphoria is glorified and made his reflecting on my life and what I've done. Paid dues, made rules, change out of love." And when he's Nipsey, he says, as I bleed through the speakers, feel my presence. To my brothers, to my kids, I'm in heaven. To my mother, to my sis, I'm in heaven. To my father, to my wife, I'm serious. This is heaven.
I love that. And the cool thing with him is, as we know, we were talking about this even during our planning call, the attention span of mankind is literally 2 seconds.
Right.
Like, no one pays attention to anything anymore.
Right.
The fact that he was able to hold everyone's attention for 5 minutes and 2 seconds.
That's a long song now.
It's a long song now. 5 minutes
5
is a long track these
Yeah.
days. And the fact that everyone actually watches and listens from beginning to end without skipping or saying, oh, this is boring. Like, it held my attention. I watched that video like 80 times. It was just beautifully done. There are no girls dancing in the background.
No.
There's no big production stuff going on. It's literally just him morphing his face.
Right.
And we were watching, we were just like, this is too amazing. He captured every moment and he represented everyone perfectly.
And that's who he is.
It was amazing. He's a GOAT.
Yeah.
Period.
He's a guy who really is like a true artist. Like, some of his music, he'll change his voice depending on who he's playing.
Yeah.
You know, he'll literally be having an argument
with himself,
playing 2 different characters. Yeah. And that's very like, that's something that we grew up with as kids. We don't see that in modern music
anymore.
People are doing that. So he stands out. And this technology that's going on in this video, it's trippy and also crazy, because this means you can make anyone look like they're saying anything, which is scary.
That's the problem.
That was the problem.
Aside from that, video was fire.
That was actually what I want to know. As amazing as this is, and I think he used it in the most amazing way to represent what is currently going on in the culture. I think for those who have ill intent, this deep fake technology can be used again to make you believe something that isn't truly happening. And again, this is why discernment is so important, because people are quicker to believe what they see and they will not research. I've had people say to me, research what? Like, I don't research. They just form an opinion based on this information. So I think you take from the video what you take. I think it is a message to the culture. What I'm hearing from Kendrick Lamar, and Rob made me listen to some stuff as we were walking this morning to Walmart, is F your feelings. The culture, we got some problems. And we need to address it.
Absolute.
Yes. And I am very, very I was very interested at the characters he chose to represent through the song. And seeing Will Smith there, you see that it literally only took a few weeks to put this together, because before the Oscars, Will would have not been.
He would not have been in the first part of the song.
So it's very interesting to see who he's used to represent the messages. I think that's a major thing, and also makes me think about cancel culture and how, cancel culture is here, but we really do need to look at cancel culture, because we all need it.
All of us.
All of us.
All of us.
Agreed.
And this is why we've talked about it on the show. Like, this is why when we did our top, best and worst of 2021, cancel culture was on the worst list, because again, everyone is quick to cancel without discernment. Everyone is quick to cancel without questioning. We as a culture, I remember we used to question things. I know growing up, that's one of the things that Robert and I do really well in our relationship is question. Constantly asking questions. And again, the Japanese ask why 5 times. Because once you start questioning things, that's how you find the information to collectively make a decision. I think in this new culture, especially with social media and people having access to what they think is information, the information you're getting on social media sometimes isn't the information. You need to dig a little bit deeper. Robert, you want to say something?
Absolutely.
I like the term council culture. I think that's what a lot of people are, the trolls and curmudgeons that they are, is they got canceled a long time ago, and people I'm dealing with them, and they harbored those same resentments. Like, that's kind of what Liam Neeson said. The quote was like, oh, it's good to know you don't hate black people. It's like, no, I hate a lot of you. You tried to take my career from me. Like, so, but I thought it was a very insightful, and I'm sure he doesn't feel like that, but that took a lot of courage to get him to even say those words on camera, because people don't know the difference between reality and television, like a scripted drama. Like, I know this for a fact because I've had conversations with my children, and I get it. When we were younger, special effects sucked.
They were horrible.
You had
Ghostbusters.
You had to use your imagination, you know, but you clearly knew Slimer wasn't real, okay? But nowadays, like, yo, you see Marvel movies, you're like, yo, my daughter actually looked at me and like, is that real? Because she doesn't have enough experience with the world to even know, does this happen in real life or not? Or am I just watching a movie? So, and we got adults with that same issue, you know, and I think we are at a point where we've been canceling for so long, we've been punishing for so long. Maybe we need to facilitate and counsel people, because just getting rid of them ain't working because they keep popping back up.
I think that's what this video said to me before Robbie 3 times gets into his 3 minutes. Like, that's what that video said to me, right? It was not an indictment on any of the people that were there. It wasn't anything. It was, you know, again, it was interesting to see what he was saying about Will Smith. Go read those lyrics, right? Hurt people, hurt people. And that's what happened with Will Smith. This was a man that was hurt, that took his hurt out on another black man. But yes, as strongly as Rob and I felt about that moment, we didn't cancel Will Smith.
No.
Ban all Will Smith movies in our home. We didn't say we'll never support him again. We said do the punk-ass thing to another black man. But it's clear you need to deal with what's going on in your home with your wife. And with that said, we are going to do our final 3 minutes with Robbie 3 times. Give me a second because I want to make sure that Instagram doesn't cut us off. Echo.
Well, we started Antonio. All right, I'm going to have probably a lot of fun with Antonio Brown because I just can't. This is an interesting story because, again, this is like him and Kanye have become close recently, you know. And I think it's a very toxic relationship. I think you have two people who, when they get off their meds, they just encourage each other to be off of their meds. And look, Kanye, when you're writing a song, I understand. Maybe work your schedule so you don't have to do anything but be in the studio. But you need to be on your meds when you go pick your kids up, bro. Like, when you go to the bank to sign your loan papers, you need to be on your meds, bro. Like, there's certain, and you might not feel the greatest, but it will prevent you from doing some of the stunts that you've been doing. Same thing with Antonio Brown. He made him the president of Donda Sports. Like, I don't know how well they're gonna do, but I don't bet against Kanye. But I can't imagine that this enterprise is set up for like sky's the limit when the president of the company has on gloves and no shirt on a podcast interview. Like, I'm just like, what is he gonna do later? Like, where? Okay, all right.
Good question there, Rob. Nice question too. What's he gonna bring? What's this man gonna bring
later? I'm just tug of war contest and stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't know. What does that attire? What is that active wear for?
You can do wear a little tie.
Then he would go dance dancing. If he had no shirt on and a bow tie and gloves, he definitely got the pants that just rip off. Like, he just rip them off. I can go on with this guy. He is just like, let me say this back at the mic. Kendrick is an amazing artist. It also some of the criticism of it, it's weird. He ain't rapping. I actually heard he ain't talking about that. It's like, oh, but free Young Thug and Gunna. Y'all have tears in your eyes about Young Thug and Gunna. And again, nothing against those men. But I'd say Kendrick Lamar, Young Thug and Gunna combined, contributions towards the culture, way up here. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a fact. So if you're not really digging it, maybe you need to listen to it with Genius also. They show you the words, because like, I'm not making them a game. I did that with Toshiba because, again, Her listening to hip hop is like me listening to reggae sometimes. I don't understand it all. I understand bits and pieces, but not the entire thing.
And with that, Telly, take us out.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.